Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Opinion Machine, the show where we talk about all things gaming. My name is Killjoy, and today I want to talk about essentially 1 year on with Borderlands 3. Now, obviously last year I picked up Borderlands 3 and I had an absolute blast playing the game. With Don Hayes, we played I got this entire playthrough up on his channel. I've played through it twice with a different character, and you know, the gameplay-wise things has always been great, but this is kind of a little bit of a rant because the problem with Borderlands 3 since I've had it on PC is it is being ran like crap the entire time, and even after a year, I'm still getting the same crap. Now, I will point out, I have to run the game, or I choose to run the game on the lowest settings to try and hit about 60 frames. I have somewhere in the middle between the minimum and recommended settings. So, in terms of RAM and processor, I'm hunky-dory. My graphics card's only 4 gig. It's a little bit old now, so I kind of accepted that. I was like, you know what? As long as I can get this game to run and to a decent, to a fairly good frame rate, and to be able to play it well, essentially, to be able to play the game into a place where I'm happy with it, then I was like, okay, I don't mind having to run the game on low settings. I'm not bothered by that. What I am bothered with is the fact that this game has been out pretty much a year at this point, and the same problems I had when I first bought the game on PC are still there, and it's ridiculous. So I'm like, when are they going to fix this stuff? First off, the biggest issue that I've had since the game launched is that the movies, if I click new game, the game crashes. It cannot load the intro movie. It cannot load movies for the expansions either. So for me to watch those movies, I have to watch them online. But for me to play the game, I have to delete those movies to get around it. So it just hits the loading screen, just puts me into the expansion, puts me into the new game. And that seems to me like that is pretty ridiculous, considering and it's something that is definitely had a massive downplay on my liking for the game, as to the point where I generally think people should just buy this game on consoles, which is, I'm sure, where they prefer you play, because you can't faff around with the settings. But yeah, it's a stupid bug, and I can't believe it's not fixed. I think I've reported on it back in the day, and nothing's happened of it. It still happens. I cannot get past the movies without getting rid of them. So that's one thing. But the entire time I've been playing the game since its launch, and even recently with the most recent expansion, I run into all kinds of things. Lots of visual glitches, and this is, I'm connected to somebody else, so this could be down to the design of their online. But me and Jack will be playing, and there'll be enemies just their bodies won't disintegrate, and just these bodies hanging around, or people that I think are actually there then they're not. Visual lagging from them. A lot of audio glitches as well, where you'll see like a Malawan, a projectile just hanging in the air, still making the noise. In the Sistine of Slaughter, where all the creatures are, there's the part where there's running water, and that just constantly plays too loud over everything else. Just things like that. It's just constant problems with the game, where I can't think of a time where I've actually booted up the game and played it, even in single player, where it hasn't had some severe issue. Hopefully the footage you're going to be seeing in the background of this video is going to be from some recent playthroughs of the most recent expansions. At points, the frame rate goes from 60 to about 10. It absolutely tanks hard, and I'm there's no reason for it. Everything is on low, everything is off. I know my computer can run this game. But like I said again, it's more than the minimum, but it's slightly less than the recommended. And that is the frustrating thing. Is I should be able to run this game, but I mean, if I wanted to, I can stick the game on the highest settings, and it will run at about 10 frames a second. So, but it's just this constant thing of this game where the actual gameplay is the best the series has ever been. The introduction of the slide, the movement abilities, a lot of the abilities the Vault Hunters have, fantastic. I've never been too I didn't think the story was that bad. It's not the best one, but I didn't think it was that bad. There's a lot of stuff that I really liked in this game, but I could never recommend it to somebody on PC, because this game, I know your mileage may vary depending on how powerful your system is, but if you're playing on a slightly low-end machine and this stuff's happening, it's this is not okay. I'm so sick of the fact that half the issues that I get have not been addressed. And the weird thing about that is that Gearbox constantly keep putting out like hotfixes, and like that's not how hotfixes work. So if you go and look, or that's what they should not be used for. If you go and look every like week, every couple of weeks, they're like, oh, new hotfixes applied, new hotfixes applied, blah blah blah. I'm like, the whole point of a hotfix is to fix issues quickly. Like, you should be patching this game more often. Like, if you go and look at the bug fixes in the patches and you look at how they're using the hotfixes, it's ridiculous. It goes to show this game should never have been launched last year in the state that it was on PC. I know that console people had issues with people opening the menu, and they still haven't fixed it. But like, if you go and look at like all of the, you know, the crashes, the fixes, the bug addresses, it's ridiculous. Like, and I've experienced a lot of these things, not so much with the mission bugs, but a lot of like visual things. So like things staying on screen, things that shouldn't be there, getting stuck in the land, like all kinds of weird things like that. And the same with the audio stuff, where like, you know, I could firing a turret, move through a loading screen, and the turret noise just carries on going. And it's just like, I'm just sick of this shit. Like, fix your fucking game, for fuck's sake, guys. Like, it's gotten to the point now where it's like, I don't want to support Gearbox anymore after playing this. Now, I know that I'm planning on building a new PC within the next 6 months, and I'm sure I'll come back to playing Borderlands, and that'll probably fix some stuff. But the fact that this game, I can run this game on the lowest settings and still run into a lot of these issues. Like, if it was just, you know, a couple of little things, if it was just audio glitches and stuff, it wouldn't be so bad. But like huge frame rate drops, visual glitches, audio glitches, movies not working. Like, it's just not okay. It's not okay to have a game released in this kind of state, basically. And quite frankly, I'm just disappointed that even at this point, half this stuff is still broken. If you take away that from the game, you guys, if you saw, last year it was in my top 5 games, but it was at number 4 or 5. There's no way I could recommend this as like, oh, this is the best game of the year. It should have been the best game of the year, but it wasn't, based on the fact that it's just a buggy mess. Like, yeah, I can get through the game, but how many times am I going to have to deal with the things getting stuck, enemies not disappearing, loud noises coming in from God knows where? Just really frustrating. Like, I've had nothing but issues playing this game, and even, like I said, with the recent expansion, I'm enjoying the expansion, I'm enjoying the dialogue and things like that, but like, it's I can't just ignore it. Like, this game clearly isn't up to par, in my opinion. And I think the fact that we're a year on, and you know, I've spent that money. I chose to spend that money on the game. I chose to spend it, buy those expansions, and I'm happy to do that because gameplay-wise, it's okay. But would I recommend people get this on PC? Only if you've got like a good end system PC. Like, if you've got a budget PC or your similar specs around what I've got, then I wouldn't even bother. Clearly, they don't care. That's what it feels like, anyway. And again, that movie problem is so, like, why? Like, why is that even a thing? Yeah, so, as you can tell, not the happiest. Definitely very disappointed with how this game's been handled post-launch in terms of bug fixing and stuff. And like I said, like, the way they've been using hotfixes, like, oh, it's like an extra, you know, we fix this thing every week. It's like, that's not what hotfixes are there for. Like, just patch the game more regularly if that's the case, or just be open about it and say what you're working on. Like, don't use a hotfix to like add, you know, fix a few things and then like next week it's fixing a few other things. You know, it's just weird. It's weird, and I don't know why they're doing it. It's like, clearly your game's got a lot of problems if you're having to put out that many hotfixes. So maybe you should, you know, take more time with it. I really think this game should have come out this year, at the beginning of this year. So they came out September last year. But I honestly think this game should have probably come out like February, March of this year. Like, they would have done pretty well, actually. And just to have that extra time so they can work on things. And yeah, it's just frustration. At this point, I'm like, well, I'll finish the expansion and we'll see where we go from there. But like, I'm kind of done with with playing this with Borderlands 3 on my current system. You know, when I get a new computer, I will be, you know, looking at it and seeing what that looks like on a new system. But yeah, at this point, I'm just like, I don't want to play this game because it's just a mess. It's just so, it's just all over the place in terms of how it runs on my PC, and it's just like, well, all you got to do is fix some, I would say, minor issues really, and it wouldn't be so bad. But yeah, as it stands, it's like, yeah, it's just very frustrating. But there's not much I can do about it. Like, you know, like I should have known from the start when I originally got the game that I couldn't boot into it because it was having issues with the movies. But you know, hindsight is a wonderful thing. But I mean, I know I'm not the only one who still has issues. I know the consoles still get some issues, but like, I just feel like on PC that they could have fixed a lot of this stuff, and it hasn't been fixed. But you know, it is what it is. I'm just putting a warning out there, just be like, if you do decide it down the line you want to get this game, just make sure your computer's pretty good, because you may not run into the same issues I've had, but there are definitely issues you need to be aware of, and it's just disappointing because, like I said, the gunplay in this game has been the best it's ever been in the series, and it just sucks that it's marred down by little niggles here and there and everywhere, enough to make it mark this game down. Like Borderlands 3 without any issues, if it ran perfectly without any issues, I should be like 8, 9 out of 10 kind of game. As it stands, it's probably like a 6 or a 7 because of just how poorly implemented some of the stuff is and how buggy it is still. And that should not be the case. So, anyway guys, thank you very much for listening to me rant a little bit here. If you like the video, obviously go and hit like. If you want to see more content like this, then hit subscribe. Links for Facebook and Twitter are down below as always. And until next video, I shall see you then.